Hey guys, welcome to the call. It's been a while since our last Know Your Operator. This time around, we have the guys from ValidBlock, Adi and Eddie. Kind of catchy. I like that. Hey guys, it would be great if you could introduce yourselves.
Thanks for having us. It's actually ValidBlocks. We spent quite some time coming up with this name. All the good ones were taken, except for the best one. So we managed to find it. So we try to make all our blocks to be valid. That's the point behind our name. So we're Eddie and Adi. We are longtime friends and also related. He's my cousin. So we started ValidBlocks in order to offer non-staking, non-custodial staking services to everybody. And we are very happy to be here with you guys, getting known by the SSV community. And it's a really great project we stumbled upon, and we are happy to be on board.
Definitely happy to have you with us. We also have a different person today from Blocks on the call. We have Adam, our other co-founder.
Hey guys, so Adam, one of the co-founders in the company. Like you guys, me and Alon are friends, not family, almost family, but friends for a very long time, ever since we were, I think, 10 years old. And yeah, great to be here.
Awesome. So today I wanted to talk a little bit about, obviously, to ask you guys about your development, what's going on. Would love to hear a bit about your background. And then from there, I'd love to move on and talk about a bit about POS in general. So we'll start with a brief introduction into, what you're working on, how you got to where you are today, sort of your footprint in the crypto space.
Right. Personally, I started as a programmer in 1999, and I always loved computers. My first interaction with a computer with a IBM ThinkPad laptop 486, and I was blown away by the little red dot, the mouse, that's how you could move it around the screen. And I love computers. I studied computers in school, and I started working right after high school on a job that trained us as programmers, and on-job training program. So after a couple of years, I moved to Spain, where I worked in a hardware and communication company, a big IBM partner, and I developed some in-house software for them to keep track of the parts they were selling and maintenance and all that. And after that, I moved into a different company that did labeling, and I kind of shifted from programming and to the business analyst end. I like the industry. I like the branding industry, and it was a fun ride with them. I've been with them for 15 years. And that's where I learned about RFID. I started to fall in love with RFID, the fact that you can get unique chips, on labels, and you can easily identify all the goods in a store using a RFID gun, just scan everything in a store, quick inventory, stuff like that. So all that was really fascinating for me. So I was in that area, also integrating systems from customers with our systems in the company I worked with. And then in 2017, I learned about blockchain. I knew there was something called Bitcoin since early 2010 or something like that, but I never bothered to look into it. I thought, it's something that's going to pass. And I didn't take the time. Yeah. Maybe if I would have done it then, I would be a Bitcoin maxi right now. So I'm glad I kept my cool back then. So 2017, I started looking at crypto because one of my friends insisted I have to do it. He knew I was technical, so he said, "Hey, you have to look at this. This is just crazy." And of course, you are drawn because of the money, right? But then I stayed for the technology. I started reading the Ethereum white paper, the Bitcoin white paper, everything I could get my hands on, actually. And I was totally blown away by the immutability, the fact that one block has a signature that is included in another block, and then that signature that's just fascinating for me. That was just the hook. I don't know, that I was working at that time, and I think I was spending 7-8 hours a day reading, just grasping all the information I could, because it was just fascinating. So that's my blockchain first interactions, right? And later, of course, in 2018, Tendermint had their testnet of Cosmos and all that, and game of stakes, and that was the first interaction with proof of stake. So I will let Adi also introduce his beginnings with crypto.
Well, I will start with my, let's say, start in the work world, let's say. I started working in 2006, but before that I was studying computer science, and because I fell in love with the Unix world, I started playing around at home, installing Linux. And I still remember the first time I installed Linux over the Windows, and I lost all my pictures. And I still remember I went to Eddie to help me recover the data. It was lost, actually. But this is the way to learn, you know. And let's say since 2005, I'm not a Windows user anymore. So since then, only Linux. And recently macOS, but in the back is the same. Yeah. So I started working in 2006 as an IT guy, a normal IT guy, working with Windows mostly. And in parallel, I was improving my skills in the Linux at home. And then in 2012, I joined a job as a Unix admin. So there I started, let's say, in deep knowing the Linux and the monitoring of the systems and everything. And that was for like 4 years. And this was while I was living in Spain, the same like Eddie. And in 2017, I come back home, doing the same, Unix. And then one day, Eddie was struggling with the Tendermint installation because he has no technical background, let's say.
In Linux.
And you need some Linux to install the Tendermint. Yeah. And that's how I joined the crypto. Actually, I joined for technology, for the Linux that is running in the background, because everything is Linux in the background. So since then, I'm here, let's say.
Pretty cool. All right. So obviously, you guys are from Romania, and there's a crypto economy or a crypto industry emerging out of Romania. The most prominent one would be Elrond. Obviously, I'm sure you guys, being geographically close to them and obviously coming from the same ecosystem, I'd love to hear from you guys a little bit about your interaction with Elrond. What do you guys do with Elrond, and a bit about the POS that's going on?
Right. So just to pick up from where we left off, right? We said that we started looking at Tendermint and proof of stake, and that's when I realized that it's the next big thing. You know, that proof of work can only go that far. And
when was that?
Course,
in
2018. Yeah.
Cool.
And then we joined all the I mean, from 0.7, I think, Gaia version, we joined the testnets of Cosmos, and we participated in the game of stakes. Actually, I had a prize at the end. I was on the Never Been Jailed crew. It was a crazy time in the game of stakes. Really wild ride. The first proof of stake that I know of, project that was launched like that, and it was just fabulous. Great experience, great exposure.
What is the game of stakes? I wasn't part of it because we were always neck deep in Ethereum. So can you maybe tell us a bit about the game of stakes?
Sure.
Seems like you're pretty excited about it.
Yeah, I mean, it was the first incentivized public testnet. I think there are two different approaches to incentivized testnets. You either build your protocol all the way to 95, 99%, and then you run an incentivized testnet, and then you iron the last bugs, just finishing touches, and all the security is a lot more robust, if you had lots of players in that testnet, right? And that's the way Cosmos did it. And it was a really long wait, but it was worth the wait. They did it in an awesome way. Lots of sleepless nights, and back then the tooling around Tendermint was not as it is now. It is not perfect right now, but still it's a lot better than back then. So like Adi said, I had trouble because you had to change some flags on the CPU or something like that. Linux has never been my favorite thing, so I limited my exposure to it as much as possible until blockchain. So I was forced to work with it. So I kept telling him, "Come on, crypto, come on, Adi, come on." And then when I had a technical problem, I brought him in, and he was excited to help. So that was really good. So we went through the game of stakes, and after that, we joined a few projects that were launching on Tendermint, like Kava and stuff like that. And then in 2019, it was an year of learning for us, and in 2019, in April, we launched the Elrond network validators community. So Elrond network, sorry, you asked about Elrond. Elrond is a proof of stake chain with a sharded architecture. I think it's one of the first ones to be implemented live, a fully sharded architecture with the state sharding. And the founders of Elrond, long-time supporters in crypto, and Benjamin was a core team in the NEM team, so a core member in the NEM team. And they were all waiting for Ethereum, to migrate from proof of work to proof of stake, which was supposed to happen, if I'm not mistaken, in 2016. And we all know the difficulties for doing this, right? So it's been a long time, like 5 years, right, since that. And the advance is huge. We now have the beacon chain, and we're waiting on the merge. But the pressure was on back then for making a decentralized, scalable, and with security protocol, like internet scale blockchain. So Benjamin had this idea about a sharded architecture, and it was really hard to find developers back then. You guys probably stumbled across this. Blockchain developers.
It still is pretty hard today.
Yeah, it is still is pretty hard.
Yeah.
So everybody that was good was either taken or very far away. So really tough times to build a team. So the brilliant idea that brought Elrond where it is right now, I think, is that they changed the problem on the other side and said, okay, let's just find brilliant people, local brilliant people with PhDs, people that are Olympiads, people that have worked for huge companies like Google, whatever, and let's bring them in, make a team, and teach them blockchain. So that's what they did. They got some guys that were really, really smart, and they are really humble. and they formed a team. And Benjamin shared his vision. And for the first 6 months, I think they went through all the white papers again. Bitcoin, Ethereum, of course, Cosmos, Tendermint, all that, proof of work, proof of stake. And they came like up to date with all the technology that was around. And then they started implementing Benny's idea. And the first iteration, I think, of the network was done in Java. And it was really bad. Java did not perform as much as they needed. So that's okay. We start again, and they did another implementation. Not sure in what it was. And the third one was in Go, I think. So that's when it started to work really good. Yeah, to click. So they've been building and building and building. And by 2019, the protocol was about ready for a public testnet. And in 2019, since they knew that we were involved in the Tendermint validators ecosystem, we worked together to find a way to create a validator group for Elrond network. So we launched our first validators on Elrond network. And the thing I like most, I think, about Elrond is the hunger. Stay hungry, stay foolish. They have the mentality and the attitude of a real startup, and they've been in this game since 2017, right? It's already 4 years, but they still have the startup mentality, and that's why they reach where they are so fast. I think with a protocol almost fully implemented on mainnet and zero downtime since 2020 when the mainnet was launched in July, and it's just fabulous, I mean, the vision and the hunger and the humility of the team. That's the secret. And on top of that, you add the community that is just
crazy,
out of this world.
Yeah, absolutely. It's all about the community.
When we started the company back in 2016-17, one of our advisors was Yoni Asya, who's the CEO of eToro, and he told us, listen, Solidity developers are going to become a very, very scarce resource in the world of blockchain development. So what you need to do right now is to take 20 junior developers and let them learn Solidity day in, day out, all the time, and become, proficient, good Solidity developers in a year or so. And then you'll have an army of, blockchain developers, and you'll be unstoppable. Of course, we didn't listen, and of course, we regret it to this day. So I very much relate to what you said, and the Elrond idea is definitely on point. Cool. Interesting story.
Yeah. So you guys, one of the first essentially validators to run on the Elrond testnet, as well as the mainnet.
Yeah, of course. We are on the mainnet since Genesis, and we basically have launched the validators community. So from the first version of the testnet, we were there, and it's been just an incredible ride.
Amazing to see.
The Elrond mentality and the Elrond approach is a bit different to other blockchains. That's why when you are looking at their validators and the way the ecosystem works and the economics and all that, you need to take time and sit down and understand them, right? So it's not that percentage of inflation, that. So it's a bit different, but it is the way it is in order to be able to scale. So the Elrond also had their version of Game of Stakes, which was called Battle of Nodes, and an incentivized.
Pretty cool, catchy names. We should come up with a cool one ourselves. Yeah.
Right. It's difficult. The good ones were taken. Maybe the best one is still out there. So there were about 1,000 people joining, And of course, in the testnet, there were not 1,000 people, but in the incentivized testnet, 1,000 people. And we wanted, at the end, when the Battle of Nodes was finished, we wanted to test the infrastructure, test the protocol. And the network, we split the network in 250 shards, I think, or 252 shards, and started throwing transactions at it. Oh, no, it was
64.
It was 60 shards, I think, 60 shards, 60 or 50 shards, I'm not sure. And we started throwing transactions at it, and the throughput was at 263,000 TPS with 60 shards, cross-chain transactions, not intra-chain transactions, cross-shard transactions. Sorry, because with sharded architectures, if you're doing intra-shard transactions, it doesn't really count because you hit the bottleneck of each shard. So with 50 something shards, we did 263,000 TPS the whole weekend.
Wow.
It was the culmination of a. So I was talking about two ways of doing incentivized testnet, and Elrond did it a lot earlier than Cosmos did, right? Cosmos did it when there were 90 something %, but Elrond did it earlier, and the learning points that they got from these testnets helped the team a lot, and they advanced a lot faster, right? So two different approaches, both serving their purpose.
I mean, that's great for us to know right now. We're at the, in preparation for our incentivized testnet. So that's great to know. Just we're missing the catchy name, Battle of the Nodes. Yeah.
Maybe you can schedule a brainstorm session. I'm good with names.
Game of Nodes. All right.
Nodes. Cool.
The best
so
of
you
the
guys,
both, right?
Yeah, exactly. We'll figure it out. I'll probably think about it. I'll
or
send
Battle
you,
of Stakes.
Yeah. War of the Operators or something like that. Yeah. We'll figure it out. Anyway, so obviously there's a very tight connection between the Elrond ecosystem, and it's great to see how an ecosystem that grows in Romania creates a lot of smaller ecosystems or smaller companies around it, and gives it like the feeding ground for them to flourish. So that's really great to see. Before the call, Adam and I had a discussion about the actual value of decentralizing a company, or the actual value behind having everyone dispersed around the world and then still touching and building bleeding edge technologies. And that's wherever you are, you don't have to be in the Silicon Valley or anything like that. You can be anywhere, which is really great. This is about Elrond. Okay, so obviously you guys know the team, you know what's going on. You have, from the sense that you can see things from the inside out and not from the outside in, so helps you understand. But I'd like to know a little bit about your experience with Solana so far, because it's a little bit different in the functionality, and also the fact that you guys are a little further away from the actual core development of, I'm guessing, unless I'm mistaken. I'd love to hear your yeah, I'd love to hear your take on it.
Right, Solana is a totally different approach to this. I mean, I've seen Anatoly talk many times about why not sharding. He's totally against sharding. He says sharding gets an added problem on the table that you don't want. Why solve the sharding problem when you can invest your focus elsewhere? So I don't think he's afraid of sharding. He thinks there are better ways to handle scalability than sharding. So of course the machines are a lot more demanding, and we joined the Tour de Sol 2, I think, in February 2020, their second test.
Oh, recently. Oh, you joined you skipped on the first one.
Yeah, we skipped the first testnet, the first public testnet, the Tour de Sol 1. But we joined we started during the first one, but we were not on time for the onboarding. The onboarding was done with a Excel sheet and all that, and you have to be there by some specific timing, and we missed the sign up for the first one, but we joined the second one. And I was lucky enough to have Adi with me. You know,
Again,
he's
the
a
master of Linux. Yeah,
the master of Linux. I mean, totally. I mean, guys from European Space Agency, they came to hire him. They interviewed him, and I convinced him to stay on board, to leave the rockets alone. We're going to the moon with the blockchain. So he said no to European Space Agency. That's for real. To continue to work on the blockchain. You know.
This
So
is what you
why
should write on your
decision?
LinkedIn, Adi. Refuse to be a rocket scientist going to the moon with crypto or something like that. I don't know.
it's a good
That's,
one.
More or less, it's on our website.
It's on the about us. Right. So
Amazing.
Solana. It's been a fun ride as well with Solana. I think their approach is different, but it's not wrong. You know, Solana uses the machine power, and their idea is the development of hardware is at a really huge pace. And they say that hardware develops as fast as our need for more transactions, right? So if right now we can do 50,000 TPS, with 2 years of better hardware, we can do exponentially more, right? So I'm not saying that's wrong. It's an interesting approach. So that's why we joined, and we try to be as present as possible in the community. And we've been really amazed to see Solana, how they did in January with the great unlock. I'm not sure if you guys know about that. They had 10% of their circulating supply. And on the 4th or 2nd of January this year, they increased the supply. I mean, they released tokens up to about 80%, right? So from 10 to 80, you would think there's a huge drop in the price. But then the price started to go up from $2 to now it's $200. So everybody was probably expecting that time to buy, and the price, instead of going down, went up. So regardless of that, Solana does great. I think they built a really great piece of technology, a good protocol, and we love to be part of that as well.
I mean,
what do you think
I can,
like that they unlocked so many tokens, and as opposed to what the market expected, and a lot of people speculating in crypto expected, the price actually went up and the demand for the token increased. I know how many fold, but a lot of fold. So what do you think happened there? Like, what was the
I think the reasons are pretty obvious right now on the aftermath. I personally sold a part of my Solana right then, hoping to buy lower.
Never works.
Adi's laughing at you.
Yeah, it's a laughable experience.
Because Adi didn't sell.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I think Solana has a very good point. They are in Silicon Valley. Actually, Solana is a beach in California, a physical beach. And they're backed by Alameda, research, and lots of people wanted to buy Solana. And if you want to buy Solana, and you do your research, there's a release of tokens after X amount of days. You wait, of course. You wait until that time to buy, and then the demand was a lot higher than the offer, and that's my take on this.
I was actually we were traveling on the West Coast. What was it? 3-4 months ago. We stopped in Solana Beach just because I had to take a picture next to the sign that says Solana Beach. I was there. Check it out.
Validating.
And, yeah, go Solana. Anyway, yeah, cool. All right, guys. Just for the sake of keeping it going, so I don't want to keep you guys waiting on the call for too long. The transition right now. Oh, by the way, before we transition to the next thing on Ethereum, at the moment, just for the viewers to know, at the moment, what is bigger for ValidBlocks in the sense of staking? More staked on Elrond or more staked on Solana? By the way, Dean is going to show the staking dashboard in the background, just so the viewers can understand what I'm talking about.
Right now, we are staked. Our biggest investment is in Elrond, because we are also investors in the private sale, because of the proximity and being here with the project since the very beginning. However, we try to invest in all the projects that we support, because we want to have skin in the game. I mean, if we don't want to be skimming off other people's rewards, we want to be there present, put our money where our mouth is, and to have skin in the game. So of course, we bought more Solana, and we are also investing in Solana. But being as close to the Elrond team as we are, of course, gave us an advantage, because we learned about it before others. So that's our biggest stake right now. And we also have some other chains we are validating on, like Kudos, Sif Chain. So we are also waiting for Hopper, HOPR. You guys heard them?
Yeah, of course.
Right. So we are always researching new options, for staking, because we believe that the word stake is going to become a lot more popular, and is going to be a lot more relevant in the near future, not in the distant future. People are going to learn what staking means.
Yeah, they don't have a choice, to be honest. All right, so now I would like to ask you guys a little bit about the transition, or your planning to transition to ETH 2.0, or whatever form of staking you'd like to do there. I'd love to hear, sort of like, having you guys come from a background of pure POS, touching on the sharding from the Elrond side, touching on scalability from Solana side. Obviously, the name of the game is TPS, or transactions per second. So I'd love to hear what you guys think is going to happen with Ethereum 2.0, and how you guys are prepping for that.
Right. Ethereum 2.0 has been a buzzword since forever, but it's going to happen. And when the merge happens, it's going to be just booming, just crazy, I think everybody knows in crypto, we have Bitcoin as the pioneer, right? Or you can send value from A to B. But ever since we had smart contracts, that gave a whole nother dimension to the crypto world, right? So that was the second wave. Now there's a third wave of POS, right? And Ethereum tries to keep up with that. So we think it's going to be a huge deal for the whole crypto business. And the fact that it does this after other blockchains that have already done it gives others some advantage, but Ethereum comes with the transactions, come with all the history, right? ETH1 being a shard of ETH20, right? That's a huge advantage. It brings all the users, all the adoption, and we think that the future will be interoperability between a few chains, not a lot. So
how much is a few chains?
A few chains, I'm thinking under 30.
All right. That's
under 30 big names. I mean, you look at the coin market cap, right? You see thousands of projects. L1s, L2s, right? L1s, I'm talking L1s right here. L1s, I think under 30. And I'm trying to be estimate on optimistic. It's going to be less than that. Yeah, it's going to be less than that, I think. I don't think it's a zero-sum game where one will master them all. Although Elrond does have the link to the Lord of the Rings, and one ring to rule them all. And it is the internet scale blockchain, but it's not going to be the ruling blockchain. I think it's going to be an interoperability between multiple chains, but not a lot, because to make it in the long game, you have to play the long game. You have to have the vision, you have to have the team, you have to have the community. If you have the vision but you don't have the team, difficult. If you have the team but you don't have the vision, also difficult because you're going around in circles. If you don't have the community, you can have the best tool out there. Nobody uses it. So for all these stars to align, constellations, I don't think they will align for all the projects.
Actually, I want to add something here. The other day, I seen a table with the top 20 projects in 2013, I think it was. And out of them, only 2 still exist.
Yeah.
Like Bitcoin and Litecoin. The others, unknown. I don't know if it was 2018 or earlier.
Yeah, there's a thread on Reddit where you can see the top 10 per month, year by year. So it's pretty crazy to see how
it's changing a lot.
Yeah, if you think about it, EOS a few years ago, again, if we're under the category of POS, whatever you want to classify it under, today is almost what? I think it's out of the top 100 or around there somewhere.
I think EOS was doomed from the start. I think.
Yeah. We're not here to bash anyone, but we've had some interesting.
We're not here.
Yeah, exactly.
But we are here to bash EOS.
EOS fans,
I'm kidding.
May peace be with you.
You have the best swag in the industry, EOS, after Aave, actually. Not even that anymore. I don't know. Anyway, you mentioned
a lot of people in the industry are kind of looking at Ethereum as sort of the settlement layer, for blockchains as a whole. So you mentioned interoperability. So once that becomes seamless and you have a lot of bridges being built between different blockchains that maybe cater different use cases in the ecosystem, a lot of people, mostly people in Ethereum, are looking at Ethereum as sort of not the one ring to rule them all, but sort of a settlement layer as the most, let's say, decentralized, secure, big, in terms of adoption and use cases and dApps. So eventually, it's not that Ethereum will rule the entire industry, but it will be sort of a settlement layer for all of the transactions or a lot of the activity going on in the different blockchains out there, kind of being captured by the Ethereum protocol eventually. Do you see this developing this way, or do you think you'll be sort of kind of separate islands with different use cases, communities, dApps, and then Ethereum just being part of that ecosystem, and there are bridges being built between those ecosystems to cater different use cases and people in the industry?
It's a good question. I don't think there's going to be either of these extremes. I think ETH being the settlement layer is an extreme, and I think also everything will work as an island is also the other extreme. So I think it will probably be something in between, where ETH will be the settlement layer for some projects, but there will be projects that don't need to go to ETH, or they don't want to. Or, I think it's somewhere. The truth is somewhere in between, in my humble opinion.
Probably.
I see a lot of projects, raising or starting their activity on Solana, Elrond, and then moving and developing on Ether, or starting from ETH and then, moving on to other chains, supporting them. So I already see some of that interoperability happening, but in a different way, not technically with an actual bridge between the blockchains. But I am seeing, you're feeling something in the air happening. A lot of projects jumping around. I do have something to ask you guys. You mentioned something. I don't know if it was on purpose or just by the way kind of thing, but you said a lot of POS blockchains are at the stages of pushing their final releases, or at the stages of developing, and Ethereum is trying to catch up. Now, obviously, us being Ethereum guys, it's sort of like blasphemy. What do you mean Ethereum is trying to catch up? You guys are trying to catch up with Ethereum. Ethereum invented everything. It's the best thing in the world, yada, 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 right? So this is the kind of atmosphere that we're surrounded by. So from the technological perspective, strictly technological, since you have so much experience with shards and what's going on with Solana, so well, and other chains, strictly technologically speaking, could you explain what you meant by trying to catch up with the other POS chains?
I'm trying to. I was trying to say definitely referring to the launch, right? Because Ethereum is really behind. I mean, we have since 2018 we have proof of stake on Cosmos, right? Without sharding. But since 2020 we have Elrond with fully sharded architecture running its mainnet with 3 shards plus the meta chain, and Ethereum just has the beacon chain.
Yeah.
Hello, beacon. Ethereum is awesome, right? We love Ethereum, but they are behind on the launch side of things. Technologically speaking, of course, they're doing great. I mean, they have some of the greatest minds working for Ethereum. But you have to admit that if you've been following the dev calls in these last few years, they don't have the stay hungry, stay foolish mentality. Things work and they develop.
People are saying that. Yeah.
That's going back to your first comment from the beginning. That's interesting. Okay.
So I was just talking
in any way, though. By the way, but yeah,
I was just talking in terms of launch time, right? The time to market. Let's call it like that. It's not this time to market, right? We have blockchains that are launched already and on the market, and Ethereum is still to do the merge. We fully support Ethereum, and it's going to do awesome, you know. And we hope it's going to catch up. And it will, because it brings. It doesn't just launch and it say, hey everybody, this is Ethereum 2.0. It comes up fully loaded, right, with all the history and all the dApps and everything else. So it's going to catch up for sure.
It's an unpopular opinion here on our talk, so that's I'm very glad that it was said, and I'm very glad that you opened it up for the community. Obviously, POS is a whole category. Ethereum did not invent POS, and is not the only one doing shards, and is not the only one planning on scaling it up. So the unpopular opinion is very welcome. So thank you for that.
Appreciate that.
Although I disagree. No, I'm kidding. All right. So, I mean, I was going to ask you about your opinion around what's happening or going to happen in the staking space in general, but I think you've already covered that or part of it with the launch of Ethereum. So I'm going to jump ahead to the sort of the wrapping question that I ask for people who are planning or companies or started working with SSV. Tell us a bit about your plans and why SSV and how it fits in the whole grand scheme of things.
Right. SSV, I think, is tackling an unexplored space of bridging the point where, from people that have the tokens, right? They have the Ether or the whatever, and that don't have the knowledge on how to stake and how to make the money work for them. So there's lots of talk about L1s and L2s, but the user adoption, I think, is critical. We'll go back to Elrond now. They are really focused on user adoption and on user friendliness and how to make the blockchain layer a bit abstract, right? So that the user doesn't have to know everything that's going back in the background. I have my ETH, right? I want to stake them, and I want to do it in a secure way. I don't want to have to trust person A that they will validate with my coins in the right way, that they will not be malicious. You know, I want to mitigate all the risk possible. So I think SSV is really tackling an unexplored space, and it's really welcome, right? Because the fact that you can share a key between different operators, it's a really cool idea, and it brings a lot of security on top of this, right? And redundancy, right? Because if some of the operators are not available, there are others that do, and that are available. So if you want more security, then you pay more operators, right? If you're, let's say you have the finances of a fund or something, right? You're managing a fund, a larger fund, and say, I'm not going to trust this to 4 operators. I'm going to do it with 7 or with 10, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you can scale as you want. And it's very, very welcome, I think, in the space. And we as a company, from the get-go, it's on our tagline on the website. We are for non-custodial staking, right? This is just fabulous. It's the new. It's a paradigm. It's a shift in thinking right now, because we are, as humans, we're not used to owning things right now. We have a bank account, right? They do it for us. We make a phone call. Hey, can you sort that out for me? I made this transaction. Can you fix it? Whatever. We're not used to owning things. Since we lost the gold standard, we don't own gold anymore. We just have these pieces of paper that have no value, or coins, right? So we lost this idea of, hey, I own this. So on blockchain, this shifts the mentality back to real ownership. And that's why the DeFi world is going crazy, because you have control over your own funds, and you don't have to give your funds to an exchange to be able to trade. You can trade directly from your wallet. And this is the same with staking, right? If you want to make the money work for you, you don't have to trust somebody with your money. From your own wallet, interacting with a smart contract that has been audited and tested, you can have the money work for you. So this is the future, I think.
People forgot what it's like to own something. That's a powerful sentence, my friend, and I'm gonna quote that for sure. You've had some pearls.
20p every quote.
No worries. I pay in soul, so it's all right. Since you sold yours, I'm saying it'll be man.
A part of mine.
a part of yours.
In a lot of the cases, there are a lot of structures which don't allow you to hold any funds on your own. So a lot of for example, you mentioned funds, right? The idea of bare assets, assets that you own and are completely under your domain, is something that is the structure of the current, financial industry doesn't allow that, from a regulatory standpoint. So a lot of the funds and a lot of the, could say, financial institutions are not even built around the idea of bare assets anymore. So it's not only on the individual level, it's also on the company level, on a traditional finance level, where you can't actually own an asset, and the idea of owning an asset is scary, problematic, or even illegal in many cases. So it's really interesting to see how the industry, like blockchain, shifts this model, where you need to be responsible for your own assets, and obviously you have the idea of bare assets coming back full force to the world through technology, which is quite incredible. I completely agree with this standpoint.
Awesome.
This is both for the physical and the financial. So it's going into the realms of the physical now, which is an even crazier feat, in my opinion. But we'll have to wait and see. All right, guys. I promised you this was going to be under half an hour. Obviously, it's been about an hour. No,
it's my bad.
It's been
I can't
great.
Stop when I start talking.
This is what I like.
I have a question, Aaron. Before you move to the next step, I wonder about because you are very much involved in different POS chains, and you have been, looking at SSV. Do you think, and obviously SSV, the first use case for the network is going to be Ethereum, but we are playing with the idea of developing it to other POS chains, and something that is, I think, inevitable. What do you think about SSV's ability to contribute and be important infrastructure in other POS blockchains? So Elrond or other players in the industry.
I think it's got a very high possibility, right? And to be fair, if you've done your homework with Ethereum and you did it well, and it launches nice and it works the way it's supposed to, that's a good, perfect entry point in any other blockchain. I mean, it's just a case of studying the architecture and where it fits exactly. But if you start with the whale, right, you can surely deal with the fishes.
This is gold. I love it.
Yeah,
You
you
should
have
do
some
marketing.
golden sentences for sure. You should. I was
You
thinking
should
the
do
same.
marketing, man.
Did you write them down?
No, I think it's recorded, right?
I have some sentences. I'm not kidding. You should make a side gig of writing stickers or T-shirts or something like.
There's
You
no
know.
time, man.
We can NFT them.
Yeah.
All right, guys. So last but not least, the final question. I ask it every single time because it's something that a lot of the community members want to know is down the line when we're launched, people are going to be trusting their money with the operators. And obviously, you've listed a few reasons, most of them being around your knowledge around POS. But it'd be great if you could summarize in a sentence or two why SSV users should choose you guys.
I'm sorry, we can't do that. 2 sentences. You're tying my hands, man. Right. One of our main characteristic was we try to be transparent. On our website, we have both of our profiles on LinkedIn. We appear in various videos. We also have an educational channel called Elrond Talks, where we talk with other staking providers, or we also interviewed Benjamin from the CEO, right? Where we have casual talks about Elrond and staking world in general, you know. So we are very much involved with the community. So transparency, community oriented, and very knowledgeable in what we do. I mean, we have Adi here who makes sure everything runs
From the techie part, let's say.
smooth like butter, man. I mean, it's unbelievable. It's a before and after his involvement. And this is the future. And we could have started our staking company for corporations or whatever. But our idea is to bring this once in a lifetime opportunity, because I think we're really, really early in the blockchain space. Yeah. Although we're 10, 11 years old, right? Or 12. We're still early, and the proof of stake is very early, and it can change the lives of lots of people. So we are trying to educate people to learn more and more about blockchain. We're not trying to ask anybody to invest anything, just learn. That's our main, let's say, main approach. Just urging people to study, to, hey, read this, read that, learn, get as much knowledge as you can, because this is the future. And if you have a foothold from the beginning or from now, you know, it can go a very long way. It can change your life and the life of your family. And also, there's another point I would like to say. I've seen staking providers that say, hey, we do this because it's a passive income. For us, it's not a passive income. We are not passive. We are very active. And it should be passive for people that delegate with us, but not for us. So for all the points above, feel free to delegate with ValidBlocks. We are always open for any kind of interactions. We have a channel on Telegram, ValidBlocks. We have a YouTube channel, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram.
Awesome.
That's
Adi and Eddie, this was awesome. Another pearl that I wrote down in the end right there. You didn't fail to deliver again. So that's awesome. Thank you so much for your time. Obviously, we welcome you guys with open arms to the community. Share your thoughts, your experience with the members. I'm sure people would love to learn from you guys. There's surely a lot to learn. So thank you for your time.